We have a ton of Chromebooks, so now what? I'm Zach, educator, tech, nerd, adoptive dad, and co-founder of Abre.
Yeah, and I'm Chris Dam, a former first grade teacher for 9 years, an avid cyclist, and I hate to admit this, but a big fan of scones, as most of my coworkers will probably share that.
Absolutely, yeah. So Chris, Chromebooks.
Yep, Chromebooks.
All right, cool. Chromebooks have pretty much taken over education.
Yeah, Zach, they really have. They're easy to use, right? They're inexpensive, and they're super easy to maintain. Students can learn to take care of them, and best of all, they do an excellent job supporting instruction, especially when paired with G Suite for Education.
And when paired with Abre.
Yeah, and Abre.
One of the big reasons we started Abre was because of Chromebooks. Some years ago, when director of technology at the Hamilton City School District, we launched a big one-to-one program that bought some 10,000 Chromebooks into the district. And we noticed that while they were great tools, we were running into some problems.
Yeah, Chromebooks definitely set the stage for learning, but
they're not very good at setting the narrative for learning.
Correct.
And providing narrative pathways for students to grow is very critical. We started with a hodgepodge and needed some order. Before defining the problems with the hodgepodge, let's go ahead and pause for a quick bit of business.
Sure. Yeah, so if you have questions during this cast and this webinar, feel free to raise them on the forum. We will pausing at various points to check in with you, and of course we've got Mason Cook in the background helping out, and he'll be sharing those questions with us.
Yeah, that said, we'll continue to post contact info at the end and the beginning, which actually we'll put up right here. Here we are.
Yeah.
Abre really does encompass a lot in education, but today we're going to focus on a few aspects of what Abre actually does, especially in relation to when you launch a one-to-one program with Chromebooks.
Yeah, and that said, you might find other areas of interest through Abre. If so, tune in to our future webcast as we dive into the other apps and packages we offer.
Cool. So getting into the problem here, we were facing, by having lots of Chromebooks, that things were really messy. We had hundreds of user accounts, we had tons of different bookmarks, and data was really siloed.
Yeah. I can remember, Zach, bookmarking each of those websites to my student profile. So, obviously like the first couple of weeks of school, I would do that for all my students, and it took up so much instruction time.
Right. So Chromebooks gave us the unique opportunity to have a good starting place. But many teachers, while using Chromebooks in their instruction, could see lots of high usage patterns. What we needed was a central location to help everyone grow and to learn. So we created Abre.
Yeah, so we're going to go through and talk about our solution to some of these problems we had, especially in Hamilton and obviously now that we're working with our districts. So I'm going to start at looking at all those district managed Chromebooks, right? So on average, you have at least one set of district managed Chromebooks per grade level. You may even have one-to-one devices in all of your classrooms spread throughout the K-12 environment. So when those students log into their devices, we often ask, where do they go? Is it a specific landing page? Is it just straight to Google? But with Abre, see, what we do is districts set their own devices, which would both be staff and student, to land on Abre.
And this is incredibly important because what you're doing is you're actually controlling the narrative. When all the eyeballs start at the same place, you have a lot of power and control to actually help your kids, your stakeholders, parents, whomever within your district.
Correct. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about those leverage, all those eyeballs hitting the same location. As you can see, when you first jump into Abre, we've got signing as staff, student, or parent. Again, leveraging those eyeballs. So I'm going to go ahead and sign as a staff member here. What's nice about this is we offer two ways to sign in, with Google or with Microsoft. So with Google, I'm going to use all of my Google credentials that I already have. So here we go, Zach Vanderveen. We are logging in here. And boom, I hit the home page. Districts can customize these to their colors and their specifics, and as you want, we want this to be about your district and not about Abre. So here we have in the main page, we have all of our announcements. And these announcements can be curated to be delivered to either your staff, your students, or your parents. And two, with your staff members and your students, we can designate if this deliver is to an entire district or to a building specifically. Over the right-hand side, we have what we call our widgets. I know Zach's going to go over this in a little bit. And again, Zach will shift into that in a second. But I want to look at staff. I want to look at curating and controlling all this narrative in one location. So a couple of things. Up here, we have something called our channels editor. So if I come into my channel editor, this is where I can create what we call a channel. Now, channels are how you organize announcements for different groups in your district. Now, I can create a new channel and either make it optional or required for my staff to use. So I'm going to go ahead and create what I like to call a elementary channel. I'm going to add that here. I'm going to call it the old elementary news and notes, right? I'm going to give it a color here. So I'm going to go with a nice, I guess it's more of an orange, and I'm going to set that to my staff. Now, I can choose the building to which I want this announcement to be delivered to. So maybe I want all my elementary schools, or maybe I only want one, but I'm going to go ahead and select all of my elementary schools that I want this delivered to, right? Now, I can also require this to be a required channel. And what that means is that staff will automatically be opted into this channel. They cannot opt out. I want my staff to see this, so I'm going to require that channel. Go ahead and click Save. Once I do that, you're going to notice now I'm going to come back out, and I'm going to go to my home page. Once I do that, I'm going to come over here, and this is where I create those actual announcements themselves. I go to this pencil here, and this is where I create those announcements. So a little bit of background information. This is that announcement editor page. I'll talk about here in a second, but I just want to show you what this does when I create that announcement. Click the plus button over here. I'm going to choose that category and choose that channel, right? So I can scroll down. There's my elementary news and notes. I'm going to give a title. So let's pretend that I have the NWEA map testing coming up, and it is in the fall. So I'm going to go ahead and say, reminder, testing next week. I can even give a date on it, so we'll say it's 8/19/19. Down here, if I wanted to, I could schedule the post, so maybe I'm not quite ready. So let's go on to August. We'll put that as the 18th is delivered, and if I want to, I could say I want to post this at Sunday night around 5:30, right? Here's where I can deliver all that content. What's nice about this is I've got kind of a full editing box there. I can insert a table. I can insert links. If I have a drive or an image or a video, I can do that. But again, this is where I'm going to put that information. So as I do that, put it in here. Down here, if I wanted to, I can add an image. So maybe I've got an image I want to add, which I can go ahead and do that. I'm going to click Post. Now, obviously, that's going to go into a queue. So as you can see up in the status, it hasn't yet been scheduled. But when it is, it'll go live, and then again, that message will be delivered to all of my administrators. What's cool about this too is you can see in my announcement editor, I control all the narrative here. So I can see what channels each announcement's going to, when it was last modified, is it active? Then of course I can come in here with a pencil. If I want to, I can edit that announcement.
We also have search fields as well, so you when this start to grows over time, you'll have the opportunity to find things pretty quickly.
Correct, yeah, and of course I can actually do this as well. I can look at that, I can see how this behaves. If I want to look at all of these at once, I'm able to do that. So once I come back now to my home page, those announcements, when ready, will come across to all of your stakeholders in the district.
Cool. Notice that when the announcements come through, we do add a couple different things like the ability to read it, but you can actually make it gamified. So you can assign points to your staff members if they read announcements, if they comment. There's ways to really encourage other folks to participate in the process as well. So that's really, really, really key.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of districts show success in this. And again, I know we're repeating this throughout, but having all of those eyeballs, whether it's staff, student, or parents, hitting this landing page and seeing all that information, it's just one spot for them to go.
Yep. So now I want to pivot over here to our shortcut and third-party integrations that we do. Right here is our shortcuts widget, but really to see all the shortcuts, I would come in here, and this is where I can see the collection of resources I use as a school district. And this was really key to the founding of Aubrey. Really, I mean, when you have Chromebooks in front of people, you want to have them be able to get to places pretty quickly. So I'm seeing this right here. These are my shortcuts, but I can actually see what student shortcuts there are and what parent shortcuts are as well. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. The cool thing about this is it's not just shortcuts, but it's actually single sign-on and integration. So what is single sign-on? Single sign-on is when you click on something and you don't have to put your username and your password in again. Because you're logged into Abre, that carries on over and you will be logged into the third party. So in this example of Pearson, if I were to click on Pearson as a student, I would automatically be logged into Pearson. And then we also do integrations using OneRoster. So Pearson would have the rostering of kids from your school district, and you would automatically see the course that you're in with Pearson with access to those online textbooks.
Zach, who can add shortcuts? How does that work?
So anyone can add shortcuts, believe it or not, as well as define who in the district has them as well. So if I were to come down here and I were to hit edit, I've got the ability here to create personal shortcuts, and this is open to anyone. We wanted to give this ability because sometimes you have kids who have like particular places that they need to access. So if I'm a coder, I might have GitHub. If I wanted to do that, I would hit the I would click things appropriately. I would hit add, and I could put in. So if I want to do GitHub as my example, GitHub, HTTPS, github.com. I could upload a custom icon, or I could go ahead and select from the numbers that we have right here. We've kind of got the most common ones here. I'm going to go ahead and just click that guy. Hit save, and now I have GitHub selected as one of my personal.
And what's the district over there? If you tab over the district, what's that?
So when I pivot over to the district, this is where I can actually control what everyone in the district sees.
Okay.
So these are the common third-party applications that you might want your folks to have. So in Ohio, like one of our big systems is called, Software Answers Gradebook or Progress Book. You can click on that, but then you've got your Google like Classroom and Drive and those kind of things. If I go into it, so if I edit this right here, you can see it. So here's Study Island. Here's the link. I've checked this to make it available to staff, and you actually get the ability to customize by what building this will be viewable. So this is a good way of being able to control things. So like you might have high school students accessing one product and your elementary another. They won't see the same icons. They'll see the different links based on not only their role, but then what building they're actually enrolled in.
What's nice about that is it helps keep things organized, right?
Correct.
Like you said, I might not be using BrainPop Junior for the high school, but maybe I want my elementary students and elementary teachers to have access to that.
Exactly. So over here, if I were to build this out, you'd have my shortcuts and then keep building out right here. You'd have your district ones put out there. And I'm seeing actually student shortcuts and parent shortcuts because I'm logged in as an admin to Abre, so I can see this. But this is really nice because you'd actually have parents be able to see the core places they can visit as well. We've gotten a lot of feedback from our district saying they really enjoy that.
What about some of the analytics behind these shortcuts?
Yeah, so that's one of the cool things about this. We actually track what's being clicked right here. So you as a district can actually come through and see things like, I am paying for, I'm going to use a generic company, the Acme company of whatever. And you paid, as a district, $50K a year to use it. And you come back and you're like, I only have 2 teachers clicking on this, once every 6 months. So you can use those analytics to actually see what's being used to make decisions on should you keep purchasing, or, if it's not being used a lot, and you want to set out a district initiative to grow it, what kind of decisions do you need to be making to make that happen?
Sure, and so that's kind of tying back into that as we see districts set Abre as their homepage. All these announcements are being delivered to them, the eyeballs are coming to one, and then 2, using that third-party shortcuts up there, if you're able to track the data behind that, if they're coming here to start their day, they're using it to go out to what they need to, you have that data and analytics.
One-stop shop, and then you can make informed decisions, which is great. Now, we'd be remiss not to point out what we have over here, because we've covered sort of the core aspects of things, but you can see this is actually our list of core Abre apps. These are apps that we've developed, and we will be doing a variety of webcasts on these. But for example, like if I did a curriculum app, I could come in here and I could see all the curriculum that's built out within the district. I always like to point out this student technology and support and innovation. One of the problems that we encountered with taking in 10,000 Chromebooks was my staff was having a difficult time staying on top of deployment, cleaning, break fixing, etc. Well, you have a wonderful opportunity to leverage your students. So we've created this entire curriculum along with a couple other districts, shout out to Loveland, who come in here, and as a student, they can come through here and they can learn everything from basics of customer service to how to tear up a Chromebook, rebuild it, keep it clean, add new screens, etc. But this would be an example of like one of our apps that we use, the curriculum app, as well as we're looking forward to talking about our Focus app, a great way if you are a district with lots of Chromebooks. What Focus allows you to do is create lessons, and in those lessons put up to 8 websites, and the students then can only visit those 8 websites. So it's a way of keeping them focused on the web materials that you want them to use.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of really great success stories come out of Focus. It being utilized in that K-12 space, from the elementary world all the way through high schoolers. It's been a really neat experience to hear that.
Absolutely. So that's really what we wanted to cover today with our webcast, and we're doing good for time. But we were going to go ahead and look to see if there are any questions that are out there. Let me check here. So one of the questions we had was, what about if I really wanted to intensely focus eyeballs on something that's really, really important? And we have something called headlines.
Yeah.
So if I were to go into here, I can create a headline, pop in here, and I actually just created one this morning as a demo, but if I come in here, I can create a headline. I'm going to call this the webcast demo. I can give it a description or write up a little message like, please pay attention. And then I have a couple different options here. I can go ahead and deliver a message, which is what I'm doing right here. I can deliver a YouTube video, so like a welcome video, and crucially, I can deliver a form. We have a form app, collects data, and that's going to be critical for compliance reasons. So think you might want to have, I don't know, Chris, what?
I can remember having to sign off on HQT documents, so highly qualified teacher documents, and my principal would send out 4 or 5 emails and say, hey, come on down, please sign off, please sign off. So that'd be a great way to deliver that.
Absolutely. So what you can do is you can have these headlines, and then again, you define by role. So who's going to see this? Staff, students, parents.
Yeah.
You can actually set a time for it. And the key part here is action required, meaning they have to click on something in order to make this go away. So I'm going to show you what this looks like.
And to that side note, with parents, I know a lot of district officials and principals and teachers sometimes struggle to get some of those forms back or to get that information back from parents. So if the parents are logging into Abre, they're going to get this headline, see there's something they need to do, and take care of it.
Correct. So now what happens is this. So typically what districts will do is they use Abre, they set it as their, oops, I forgot to select staff on it. Let me go back here. What they'll do is districts will start with Chromebooks. And what they'll want to do is when kids come in, they'll set Abre to their home page and their staff as well. And when that happens, they turn on their Chromebooks. It automatically goes to Abre. And what will happen is the headline will pop up and take over their screen.
Now, Zach, can teachers or parents, students, can they get out of this? Or
Nope. So now they have to do what it is that you wanted them to do, whether that's read a message, watch a video, or in the case of compliance issues, complete a form.
There you go. Excellent.
This is a phenomenal way for tracking and, again, compliance. But then, again, all the eyeballs are being funneled in one spot so you can control it.
Also could be fun to do like a welcome back to the school year, little YouTube video, some dancing, deliver it through the headlines feature.
Oh, yeah. Or snow days. That's a popular one.
Snow days is a good one, absolutely. I feel like every district is kind of one-upping each other on the snow day cancellation videos.
So, in conclusion, this is us. This is Zach. This is Chris. If you guys have any question, if anybody would be curious to hear more about Abre and the apps that we have, we would love to talk to you. Our contact information is right there.
And too, with that being said, don't forget to head on over to abre.io. There you can see everything about us, including a tour as a student, as a parent, as an admin, as a tech director, pretty much all the ways that we integrate with districts you can take a tour on.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Apologies about a little bit of the technical difficulties we had at the beginning, but we appreciate you joining, and we look forward to our next webcast, which will be sometime in August, and it's going to cover Focus, which I briefly mentioned here, but in greater detail. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers.